Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. We are Petty Details. My name is Jen. That's Justin. I hope I'm pointing the right way. And we are subject matter experts in auto property damage claims. Justin sits on the stand across the country, consults attorneys and victims and shops and all the good stuff. And today we're here to talk about why you can't get your total loss settled. So I'm gonna let Justin take over.
Yeah, total losses suck. First of all, you lost your car. So if you don't wreck every week for a year, you don't know how claims work. You're just stuck in a problem. How do you deal with a claim? Because you're just not familiar with how claims work. And that's the big number one, is just not understanding how claims work. One of the reasons why you can't figure it out is because the adjusters don't know how claims work a lot of times. They just are not in a position that is highly trained. An adjusting position, unfortunately, unless you're high level and have been doing it for 10, 15 years, you're probably not a very high level trained
Sort of like
adjuster
high
that understands.
turnover.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a hard job. It's just like they don't start you out at high pay, and so it's a hard job to try to advance in, and so people get burned out with it real quick, and you have to just follow best practices and rules. For example, how claims work, we had an example of me dealing with, I was the defense witness on a wire fraud and insurance fraud case that the FBI was investigating, and I was supposed to be the witness that was an expert in auto claims and how best practices on auto claims to show how potentially this defendant who was accused of wire fraud and insurance fraud may not have been committing as much fraud as they thought, if you will. And it was clear. I went through I think 2,500 pages plus of claims notes and all kinds of stuff, and I had to go through and basically put an adjuster hat on and adjust 8 different claims, and it's the rampant, unknowledgeable way that the insurance adjusters handle claims is just astounding. It's like you can't believe that somebody's an insurance adjuster and that they don't have enough sense to handle that claim right. And so assuming that they're going to handle the claim right is number two. You don't know how it works, and how it works is just however fast the insurance company can make it work. The second thing is you might assume that the adjuster knows what they're doing. I can tell you 99% of the time they do not know what they're doing. They don't know the case law.
They don't have access to the policy sometimes. You've had that response from adjusters
Unbelievable.
that they don't have
Unbelievable
access to the
stuff.
policy.
Correct.
Especially on the appraisal clause, because it's all about that language,
Right. You ask the adjuster, hey, can you send me my policy? Well, we don't have access to that. You're joking me. That's
Right.
not true. There's no way the adjuster at the insurance company doesn't have access to the insurance policy. That's just a lie. And they will tell that to you, and you'll be stuck in how do you resolve that? And so that's
Talk
sort of
about that.
yeah.
Talk about that girl that she used to work with 22
Sure.
years ago.
Yeah, the point in case is that I had a claim come through and I was like, oh, great, I know this adjuster. I worked with her 20 years ago, and so I was like, I'll get her on the phone and we'll be able to talk about it and understand each other and we'll be on the same page. Call her up, and she's still a entry level employee that has no authority and could not speak intelligently on anything more advanced than just your basic property claim. And it was astounding to me that somebody could do that for that long and not advance at all. It's just a
Yeah.
weird thing, I guess. It's like one of the things that's just like, I don't
Some
know.
people are
It's
just
just,
happy making a paycheck, like.
yeah, it's like just a lack of trying to get better, at what you
Right,
do.
right.
And so I
Digging
think it's
deeper,
just
get
common.
in
Yeah.
deeper, figure it out,
Yeah, just try to get better. That's crazy.
Oh, I have a
It's
good
like
story.
tell about that educating an adjuster that you had where you
Yeah.
were like, yeah,
So it was years ago. I don't remember when, but it was a high level insurance executive, and he had called us, and I feel like he was in like Colorado or somewhere, north, mid north, east, west, whatever, west. And he was asking about some complex claim issue that he needed help with, and he needed your help with it. And I told him, when he said what he did, I was like, okay, I have a question, because I talk to insurance adjusters all the time. And I cannot believe how little they know about their policy, like the appraisal clause. They don't even know about the appraisal clause. And it says it right there in the policy. And so I said, I have to school them all the time on the appraisal clause. And he said, yeah, that's what we call ruining a good adjuster. And I was like, okay. You know, I mean, it makes sense. They don't want to pay a bunch of money out if they don't have to, you know, and if somebody gives up because they're not getting anywhere, that's how they're going to keep that money in your total loss situation, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's just like,
what about the one that attorney that had to fight?
Yeah, we had a claims manager, and he had hired a defense attorney because their insured party had been sued for diminished value and loss of use and so forth, and the insurance company was wanting to not pay her for any of those damages, and they needed an expert, and they had hired a defense attorney who knew me. And so the defense attorney called me up and said, hey, can you analyze this? So I did. And I mean, it was not zero damage, but it also wasn't a big, huge claim either. And so she had a little diminished value. I think it was a Honda Civic that was pretty new at the time. I think this was somewhere in the 2014 or 15, and it was like a 2013. Yeah. And so it was like not a very old Honda Civic, and it was nice, clean, and it was, you know, damaged pretty bad and had to be fixed. So it had a couple of grand worth of diminished value on it. And, you know, and she didn't get to drive her car for a month because of delays and other things like that. And so I analyzed the whole thing and suggested a settlement amount, which was less than what they wanted, what the vehicle owner was asking for, but I just said what the truth was. And it made the claims manager so mad when that attorney sent that report to him, and that claims manager disparaged me and acted like I had no experience. If somebody believes that, you know, just crazy talk, you know. And that attorney he wrote an email back to that and copied me on it and just ripped that claims manager a new one. It was I was like, gosh, dog, man, I appreciate you do that. He's sending back an email that said, look, I choose the expert. I've known him. He defended me and explained how he knew me and stuff. And it's like, you either take his word. I'm using him, whether you like it or not. And, you know, just fire me off of it and hire a new defense attorney if you don't like who I picked. But here's my suggestion. It's what Petty said. But that shows you that those claims managers will do that. If you tell them that they owe more than they think that they owe, even if they're not an expert in it, it's just almost an ego thing. Yeah. But it's just frustrating for sure.
Well, what about number 3? What about putting a value on the car?
Yeah, so total losses, you know, are about market value and how you determine the market value of a vehicle, and that terminology is real confusing. So one of the things that makes people settle their claim is that they believe the adjuster knows how to put a value on their car. That they know, that they've been trained how to do that. They haven't. That's called an appraisal. You have to do market research and compare comparable vehicles yourself as an actual appraiser. There's appraisal standards that you have to follow. You have to document who the user is, you know, what the proper market is, what the ownership interest is. Is it a lease? Is it not? All of those things you have to take into consideration. Insurance adjusters just run a report on a computer. They just log in to CCC or AutoSource or JD Power, and they click some drop downs, and then it produces a report for them. They didn't look up these cars and look and see if they're comparable or not. They're just trusting a computer to do it. And so they have no clue how to do an appraisal. And that's the third thing is, you know, that you don't trust them to know how to put a value on your vehicle. They're using a computer program. They don't know how to do it. Or just
something made up in-house that this is the way that we're... Like, sometimes they'll just pull like an NADA or JD Power or something. It's like one book. That's how you're coming up with a value?
It's, you know, the real problem is that the Department of Insurance approves certain things for first party claims, and we'll get into that first party and third party. But first party claims are regulated by the insurance department. Third party claims aren't, but even in first party situation, that doesn't mean that the way the insurance department says to do it is the right way. That just means
Right.
that's an approved way that the insurance company's allowed to do it, and they will just stick their feet in the mud on it, even when it's clear that that way that they're using is wrong.
What about the next reason, which is you don't know what's in your policy?
Yeah, you have to understand on a total loss that there is custom equipment defined in your policy, and you have to read your policy and understand what it says about your duties after a loss, Section E in most policies,
Yeah.
and what all the things that your policy restriction. People just believe a lot of times that their coverage just covers the damage if we have a wreck. Well, that's not the
I'm made
case.
whole, right? I paid for them to make me whole.
Yeah, they got to
I
make me
hear that all
whole.
the
It's bad
time.
faith. Yes, not that's not true. You have
Yeah.
to. You when it's your own insurance company, your policy dictates how that works, and you have to read the definitions in the policy and understand what limits of coverages you have. You don't get certain payment for stereo equipment or electronics if they're not permanently installed, and only up to a certain amount, and so forth and so on with custom equipment, OEM versus aftermarket parts, or like, kind, and quality, they'll call them in the insurance policy, which means they can get a junkyard part to put on your vehicle or a CAPA certified part. And, these things are big problems. CAPA always is decertifying parts every month. You think the shop that uses CAPA parts is going to call you and say, "Oh yeah, by the way, that fender we put on there the other day, they just decertified it. It was certified when we put it on, but just to let
We
you
got you
know,
on a call list.
just to let you know, we got notice it's decertified." It's like
Yeah, not gonna happen ever.
that's the kind of silly stuff that an insurance carrier will ignore. They'll try to ignore that even happens. It's like
Right.
that it does happen. That's why you want to only use OEM parts. Get an OEM parts endorsement on your policy. Read your policy is the point. You don't know what's in your policy, you can't complain about it.
Well, and a lot of people just don't understand it even if they do read it. It's just, it really, like for me, coming from not an insurance background, I mean, it still confuses me, even though I've learned so much. I've done this with you since '09. There's still parts of it that confuse me. You really need somebody that you can ask the questions to, like people do to us. We talk to tons of people that we don't take money from, that we just tell them, okay, here's how that works, and here's what we think, and if you want our help, then we'll help you. Yeah, we do try to vet all of our cases really well before we take them on to make sure that they are going to get proper help, that we can actually help and be of value to them. And I think that's important for appraisers slash experts to do, because it is money out of your pocket extra. But when you have to spend it on that appraisal clause, like for a total loss, it's so worth it when it's worth it. But I do want to talk about the next reason, which is a big one, and that's going to be first party versus third party claims, because you
Right,
don't have a policy
right,
to rely on.
right. So you have to understand the difference between a first party claim and a third party claim. And the easiest way is to, if it's your insurance company that you're making a claim against, then it's a first party claim. You are one of the people that has the contract, the insurance company and you. So you're a first party to that contract. So if it's your own insurance company that you're making the claim against, then you have a contract that governs how that claim is managed, along with insurance code statutes. That's not the way it works with a third party claim. And that's where a lot of people get confused, is that they think that every claim's a claim, right? That the Department of Insurance will get them if they do something wrong, Nope. Not, it, not,
Nah.
yeah. Very rarely does an insurance company get in trouble, unless it's
Haven't seen it
super
yet.
clear. Oh, I mean, you have to really document it well. We've had some cases over the years where an insurance company was like, "Oh, I backpedal real quick and pay the claim because they
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
want
with
to
a
get."
threat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. But very rarely does the insurance department force an insurance company to do anything. Most of the time they say, "Well, that's a matter for the courts, and we can't make a legal determination,"
And
even if
so many
that's
people
not
are
really the
always just
case,
like, And so many people are always just like, oh, I'm going to make a complaint. And it's like, yeah, when you say that to a third party insurance carrier that's not your own, they're like, go
They're laughing
ahead,
at,
whatever, I don't care.
yeah, they're laughing at you in the back,
Because you don't have a policy with them. You can't
You're
complain
not
to them. You're
yeah,
not their customer.
you're not a consumer with them. It's that other person that caused the wreck that has the claim. And so you
Right.
have to recognize that it's that other person that has the claim. You have a benefit that could result out of their claim because they have liability insurance that might pay you because they're liable. But you have to understand that they have to be liable. You have to prove that. You can't make their insurance company do anything. The only thing that the insurance company for another person has to think about is, could you win it in court? And how big of a threat are you? That's
How big a
it.
boy are you?
They don't care about anything else. Are you going to sue? Probably not. So we'll just offer low amount until you give up.
Yeah, because
And
95% of them don't sue.
All right. So you have to go in knowing how to handle a third party
Listen,
claim,
they're like
or
the dealers in Vegas. The insurance companies are the dealers in Vegas.
you're at a definitely an unfair advantage when you're dealing with somebody else's insurance company because
No,
your
an
only
unfair
recourse.
disadvantage.
Yes, unfair. You're at a yes. You definitely don't have an advantage on a
Yeah,
third party claim. You have to file a lawsuit to even make a
yeah.
threat, and it's not as simple as people think. We'll get to that too.
What happened to
Uh,
your lighting? Oh,
my computer went into
sleep mode. I was
screensaver
like,
mode.
wait a
It
minute.
just
All of a
turned.
sudden, your
I
lighting is
had this
completely changed.
ambient lighting going on that just
Listen,
yeah.
this is the 400th time we've done this video, so do not screw it up for us.
So
Okay,
we
let's
did,
move on to the next reason.
yeah, I mean that was the same thing. It's like you don't you have to be willing to file a lawsuit if you're dealing with a third party claim.
If you
You
have
have to
to,
be
yeah.
willing to, and you have to know an attorney or get lucky. We don't know attorneys in every location. We do have some attorneys around that we can refer people to, but there's places that we work where I tell people up front, if the insurance company, you got a third party claim and the insurance company wants to play nasty, you're going to have to file a small claim suit, and I can't do that for you. And
Yeah.
so, you have to be willing to do the work, and we can only help so much on that. It's illegal for me to give legal advice. I can't
Right.
teach that,
We can't
even
do
though
it
I've
for
lived.
them. We can't. People want us to
Right.
represent them all the time, and it's like you're asking for an attorney. We're
And I mean,
appraisers.
and I wouldn't want to do that. I've never been a
No,
practicing attorney. I'm not
no.
I know a lot. I've sued a lot of people and I've got a lot of experience in litigation, but I wouldn't want to take on the role of an attorney, and I'm careful not to do that. And,
Yeah,
I can help you so much, but
yeah.
there's a line where I can't help you. You have to
Let's
be
talk
willing
about.
to do
I
that.
want to be. Okay, I want to talk about. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but this is one of my favorites. Is they're trying to be their own expert, so they're gonna
Yeah.
call you and put you
Yeah.
through the ringer because they have read Google. Okay, so
Yeah.
tell me about it.
It is irritating. Every professional that's an expert in their field probably feels the same way.
Yeah,
But
and it's
you
hard
you
because you
just
do have
I mean,
you have it at your fingertips. It's just do you understand it?
you know what it reminds me of is that movie Lucy, where Morgan Freeman's answering the
You
phone and
love
Lucy
that
calls him
movie.
up. Yeah, she calls him up and she says, "I read all your research on the brain." He's like, "You read all of my research?" He's like, "Yes, all 7,422 pages. I've memorized them. I can quote them back to you." It's like some astronomical number, but that's what this person that's acting like they've read Google is saying. Like, you didn't research everything that
Well,
I've
and
ever
they
done.
talk
You
to
can't
different
be,
people. Different people give them wrong advice, or I
well,
mean,
and one of the things about being an expert is your rapport with the community that you're in. You can't gain relationships with claims managers and attorneys and other appraisers and adjusters. You can't garner that type of experience by reading Google. You have to actually have known those people and deal with them and talk to them and build some rapport and prove to those people that you
well,
are an
hey,
expert so that, You have some
And have a
respect.
methodology. You have to have a methodology and rely on that and be able to explain it. And I mean, there's so many things about being an expert that people, you can
Yeah.
read a lot and you can learn a lot. And people are smart that call us, and they've done all the research. They've put together a huge Excel spreadsheet. They've got links to every comp. They've got a narrative on each comp about what's different with their trim level and their options and the cost
Right.
of it. And
Right.
like, so smart. But it doesn't matter if you're
That's
smart.
not the way the game is played.
Doesn't
You have
matter.
to know,
Like,
you have to have the wisdom of how the game is played. If you don't know the rules, then you're just making up how to fight, and they don't care. If you don't know how to fight, that's fine. They'll just win by knowing the rules.
well,
And
and if you
so
don't know
it's
the
like,
rules, they can change them without you knowing.
definitely, definitely. It definitely
Yeah,
is that's a really good point, is that knowing the rules and not letting them
yeah.
just make up rules, because they do it a lot, all the time. What do we
I'm
got
looking at our
next?
list. Our next one is that you don't understand your legal rights. So talk about that just a little bit before we wrap this up.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to the idea of first party, third party. You have to understand what you can and can't use to threaten, because the insurance adjuster, as low level as most of them are, what happens when they get a formal and well thought out demand that rings the bell, if you will, that talks about Stowers demand, or doesn't make a veiled threat, but makes a credible threat, a threat that is like, oh hell, this person knows what they're talking about. That goes to a manager to review, and then that manager probably doesn't understand how to respond. They go talk to the legal counsel. That's what I did when I was worked at insurance companies. I was in the large loss consulting. So if somebody didn't know what to do, some weird thing, it would go to Jack or to me, or then to the legal counsel, and then the legal counsel would come back to me or Jack and say, "Do you have any cases?" So they do go up the ladder with it if you know how to ring the bell. But it's difficult to know how to escalate a claim, if you will. You have to escalate it, and it does take a lot of response letters. That's the bane of my existence, is that I just can't get to everybody, and I can't write their letters for them. I have to just sort of pep talk
Suggest what, yeah,
how to
here's
do
what,
it. Here's how
and
you do
here's
it.
what they're not
And
doing. Here's
here's some
what,
sample language. It's only sample. It's not legal advice, and
right.
just give them that. But you have people that will take advantage of that, and that's why, as a professional, you have to be careful about who you give that stuff to. And even if it's perfectly legal, I've had people take something that I gave them as educationally disclaimed that way, and then say to the insurance company, "He's representing me,"
Right.
you know?
You're going to talk to my attorney.
And
It's
it's
like,
like,
quit.
so,
We quit.
so just being sort of, it's like, I've used this before, Dunning-Kruger, thinking you're smarter than you are about how to
Yeah.
handle a claim. You trust your expert. If you have an attorney, trust your attorney. If you have a good expert, they're going to refer you to an attorney when you need one. They're not going to give you bad advice.
Or
They're
they're
just
going to
not
tell
going to
you
do
that
it.
you can't get, they're going to tell you, I'm not going to be able to
Or
find you an attorney for
that's
this.
right.
And that was our
You
next
tell
point
them,
is
right.
you can't get an attorney probably,
That's right. It's very hard on property damage auto claims to get an
without an
attorney.
injury, no
Yes,
way.
for sure. Just
We
call
know a
around to
few
some
that will
attorneys.
take, well, we know a few
Yeah.
that'll take them here and there, but it's got to be worth it for them. It's hard work.
Well,
Property damage
yeah.
is irritating. It's a lot of admin work. You need
Yep.
paralegals that can run that for you and do that behind the scenes. And that's what we
Yep.
do is we work
Well,
with a ton of paralegals, telling them, here's the next
right.
step. Here's, what to
Yeah.
do.
Well, the reason that we have some attorneys that will help more than anybody else, I would think. I
I feel
have a
like it,
lot
but
of
I don't know.
attorneys.
I mean,
I don't know either, but we have a lot, and it's because they can trust that our product is good. They're not going to have to worry about that. If they have an issue with it, we're going to fix it. And we support their paralegal staff, and they can call us anytime and ask us a question. Normally can get me on the phone right then and say, hey, I got a weird situation. How do you do this? And I'll tell them if I know, and if I don't know, I'll say, let me research it, and I'll call you
yeah.
right back. And so we figure it out for them and help them on that property damage side. So it opens up that, and the ones that use us, it's hard to get them to use us, but once they do use us a few times, they see how valuable it is to their customer, because that's a big part of your claim is my car, man. you know,
Well,
why my
and
car's gone.
the repair is hard, so we help with that because
That's a whole, we
we
need to
know a
do that
lot
on
of
a
good
different video.
shops.
We need to do a
Yeah, that's a
repair
different video.
dispute, a different
Yes,
video.
but I'm
Yeah.
just saying that, we can really help them through the process on these different elements when they call us early. If you're late in the process, I mean, yeah, we talk to people all the time that already have their car repaired and stuff like that, but on a total loss, especially people always, they get so hung up on fighting with that third party carrier and they won't budge. And I mean, I literally had a guy, I'll tell this quick story before we wrap it up, this
Yeah.
last week. And this is a good story. It's one of the most interesting. And he'll probably see this and laugh about it. But he's a vet and he has PTSD and he's just very,
Oh, Mr.
he's
Johnson.
very, he's been messed around for like months and months. And it's his truck, his boat. He didn't have insurance on his boat. It's a $70,000 Ford truck, and so he turns left in front of someone in a low visibility and gets T-boned. His fault. And he has been fighting his own insurance carrier. He's been fighting and fighting to try to make them give him a fair value. And they're $10,000 low. $10,000 low under what he's owed. And he was so emotional because he's like, this is the worst thing that's happened in my life. And I'm like, I am an auto claims counselor. So let me, cry on my shoulder. But I mean, I talked to him for a long time and I said, look, because here's what he was doing. Okay. So since he's a soldier, his way is to fight, go into battle, like that's what he does. So he had been like threatening that adjuster. And I mean, like he found his phone number, like his cell phone number. And I was like, sir, is it worth going to jail? Backpedal. Let's take a step back. Because for him, he could have already invoked the appraisal clause months ago and not even went through any of that heartache. And we could have taken over if the claim was worth it and helped get that claim resolved. So people just don't understand the power of appraisal clause in their total loss. And even when they're not filing it on even when someone else caused it and they don't have it filed on their own insurance, if they're not doing you fair, you need to file it on your own insurance and you can fight them. You have a policy. So
Yeah, I'd say
that's my
always,
2 cents
yeah, I'd say always go with your own insurance if you
on a
can.
total loss.
But don't be like that customer you're talking about and be like, I know where you live, adjuster.
Don't do that. He got
Don't
a
do
cease
that,
and
you know.
desist. He
You
got
got
a
to
cease and desist
from the insurance
They
company.
hired
Right.
they
Had to
hired
hire a
a
third party
third party
adjusting company. Yeah.
adjuster to adjust his claim because he's not allowed to call them. So I mean, it's emotional.
Yeah, don't do that.
It really
Don't do that.
takes
We're gonna
a
get that
toll
one
on
solved
people's
for him.
life. Yeah, and we're
And
going to
it's
be able to
one
help
where
him.
we know the other appraiser. We know both of the other appraisers, frankly,
Yeah,
that were
yeah,
that were hired on it.
and most of the
Yeah,
guys in
both
our
both the
industry
independent
are
adjuster and the appraiser. We know
ladies
them
and
both.
gentlemen in
Yeah,
our industry. They're reasonable. There's a few here and there who
sure,
like can't fit their head through a door or whatever, but I mean, for the most part, that's in every industry. So, well,
sure.
I think we've hit on all the points we were here to talk about on this video.
Recap. Understand that claims are tricky. You don't know how they work. Adjusters don't know everything. You know what I mean? And they, even if they say they've got a lot of experience, don't believe that crap. They don't know what they're talking about. The insurance executives also are the kind of people that promote people that save money all the time and show up and be a yes man. And so that's the last 2 points, is that the high level insurance execs know that they want an ignorant adjuster so that they can maintain the way of handling claims without them questioning it. And so it's
And I will say, we know some smart adjusters. Like, we have
sure,
worked
there's some
with
good ones.
some
There's
great adjusters.
I was a good one. I was a good
Yeah,
one.
I
I mean,
mean,
even though they tried to train me that way, I just refused, and that's why I don't
well,
work
it's just that they don't give them any power.
industry.
They don't give them any control over negotiation and stuff like
No,
that. And people are misunderstand.
no,
They think that this adjuster just has all the power to settle their claim. They don't.
not at
They
all.
don't.
They're told they're
No.
under pressure to settle it within a certain dollar figure, and
Yeah.
they're just told certain things, talking points as to why not to pay things. And so you got
Yeah.
to know how to get
It's a
around
hard
that. That's
job.
the claims. It's like that's all I did for my career when I worked as insurance adjuster, and now what am I at 27 years? something like that, 27 or
I've
28
lost
years.
count.
It's
I mean,
like,
me and you. So Justin is my husband. This is our first, real big video. We did that other video, what, a year and a half ago that we did our first podcast video. But now we're back into it, and we're husband and wife, and we've owned our company since '09. We started with nothing from the beginning. Justin saw a hole in where consumers needed help, and he wanted to fill it, and he came to me and was like, I want to start this business. Like, I want to do this. And I was like, okay, wow, that sounds really exciting. The insurance claims, but really, it really is an interesting thing that we do. We love helping people. If you need help with your issue, total loss, diminished value, loss of use, repair disputes, like, get a hold of us. Our link will be in the description.
it's a people business more than you think. Once you get into if you're passionate about it, because that's what you're doing, is you're helping a person whenever you give them the knowledge they need to make sure they don't just leave, get I can't think of a nice word. I'll just leave it at that. You know what I mean?
Don't cuss.
Don't let the insurance company get one over
Beep.
on you,
Beep.
if you can avoid it. Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. You got to fight for yourself. That's what I tell people is you can't be afraid to stand up for yourself. And they always ask, oh, my rate's going to go up. Look, maybe.
It's going to go up anyway. Even if you have no claim at all, it's going up. It's going up. If you don't have a claim or not, it's going to go up.
That's
Guaranteed.
right. Well, if you need help with your auto accident, just reach out to us. We will tell you the truth. We will look at your what your situation is for free up front and tell you if we think we can help you. Yeah. And we love helping people.
Yeah, and look at our other videos that we have on different subjects.
Yeah, we're going to be uploading them a lot, so stay tuned, okay? Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a great day.